Welcome Homeworthy. My name is Ruth McKeaney and we're back on Hillside Farm. I'm excited. It's my favorite time of the year. It's fall. So that means we get to do all things fun fall, plus the wedding's coming. So for today's episode, we have a gentleman coming who's helped us do some projects, getting the barn ready for the wedding. And then of course you've met Eileen, who helps me do the gardens. And so we're gonna plan on how to get things ready as well. And then my oldest daughter, Alex, is coming by the house. We are going to be doing some fun baking, an English crust, as well as a homemade apple pie and pumpkin pie. So come join us. Can't wait. I'm Ruth McKeaney, and this year I'm inviting Homeworthy to join my family for all of our annual highlights at Hillside Farm, our 305-year-old farmhouse steeped in history and love. After decades of flipping houses, my husband Bob and I settled here where we raised our 5 children. And this year you'll join us for holiday gatherings and the upcoming wedding of our daughter, happening right here at Hillside, where we welcome your company as we share in the simple pleasures of life at home. I'll offer tips from my book, Hungry for Home, to help infuse your own home with moments of joy, filling home-cooked meals with flavor for the whole family, and of course decorating with amazing antique finds. So sit back and make yourself at home.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
All right, Homeworthy, I'm so excited to have you in my kitchen today, especially with my oldest daughter, Alex. One of the fun things about this time of year is all of our apple trees, and we make everything from apple crisp, applesauce, apple bread, apple pie, apple turnovers, and today we are going to do apple pie. One of the reasons I'm so excited, when I met with the caterer about a month ago, she said to me, once she found out I had done a cookbook, she said, are there any dessert recipes your daughter would like us to make specifically for the wedding? And so today, we are going to make 2 of them. There are going to be 4, but we're going to make 2 today. One is an apple pie, and the other one is a pumpkin pie. So I'm excited because my daughter Alex has been wanting to learn how to make this English, I call it the English crust because a very dear friend of mine who was a caterer before she passed away, she gave me her recipe, and it's been my favorite pie crust of all time, and I use it for quiches, I use it for pies. So here we go, I'm gonna teach you, okay? Yay. So all right, you have your Cuisinart out. You know how to open that up?
Food processor, for people that don't all
know
have the same brand.
Food processor. Okay, you are going to take, what I've already put in here is 1 1/4 cups of flour, there you go, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon of sugar. I want you to go ahead and pulse that just for a couple of seconds. I am telling you, this recipe is so awesome. Don't be afraid of doing a pie crust. I can tell when somebody has not made their own pie crust. Not to insult store-bought pie crust, but this is so much better. All right, but you did it. Okay.
Yes.
Now, once that's done, you're going to take 4 tablespoons of butter. I already have it cut off for you. I want you to cut it up into little pieces and throw it in there. Okay. No, I'm just gonna stick with it. Okay, and can I tell you, whenever a recipe looks like that, well loved, I'm telling you, it's the kind you pass on to your kids. All right, cut it up into little cubes and throw it in there. And this is 4 tablespoons of cold butter.
Which is a 1/4 cup, so it's 1/2 stick.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you're doing the butter right now. That's 6 tablespoons.
Oh.
Sorry. Got it? It doesn't have to be perfect because you're gonna pulse it in there too.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna get ready with the next thing. The next thing that goes in here, because it's not just butter, cold butter, it's also cold butter Crisco. I don't know, it might be the secret ingredient, but this is the 4 tablespoons. The butter was the 6 tablespoons. This is the 4.
Can we cut this?
Yep, I've been chilling it in the fridge. Go ahead and do that. Cut it into pieces. The great thing about this recipe, well, you're going to see, actually, let me grab it. I make so many balls of this and I keep them frozen in my freezer. You can then pull them out literally for breakfast if you're making quiche, or if at the last second you want to throw together a pie, you don't have to remake these. I probably keep 6 of these balls in my freezer at all times.
Do you want me
Just
to
put them
pulse
in a Ziploc freezer bag.
Do we
All
pulse
right.
this?
So go ahead and pulse it. A little bit longer. A little bit. Now stop.
Okay.
All right, there. Now we're going to do 3 or 4 tablespoons of ice cold water. All the things that go into this are supposed to be chilled. I'm not sure what the reason is. I'm sure if I looked it up, I could find the reason. I just know it's supposed to be chilled. 1, 2, let's start with 3 because you can always add more, but you can't take it away. All right, go ahead. It should start to form a ball. Okay, it's starting to form. All right, let's do 1 more. Ready? There you go.
And just like that, it's a dough ball.
You got it. It's a dough ball. All right, pull it out. This recipe's on page 272 of the book. All right, pull that out. Now wait, hang on, because we're gonna get some flour on here.
Okay.
Just so you can form your ball, okay? You're gonna roll it out over there. Go ahead.
Do we just
Got
use
it?
the flour
Yeah.
to-
You're just gonna, don't work it too much because
Okay.
then it warms up. All right, now, do you know how we have that marble?
Yes.
All right, this is why we have a baking counter. Bring it over here. Hang on. All right, go ahead. And I will get you a rolling pin. And then I'm going to show you the secret. Go to about 1/4 of an inch thick.
Oh, it's really soft.
I know. Usually you refrigerate it for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
use the flour on the.
Now turn it because you're going to do it that way. Don't make it too thin. I like a little bit of a thicker.
Some holes.
I know, it's okay. That's the great thing about pie crust. You can play around with it, okay? Kind of scoot it together. All right, go ahead. Yeah, make sure you have flour all over this, okay? And on top of this.
Okay.
That way it doesn't stick. Now see, now I'm gonna show you something. I am not great at making a pie look beautiful, and I tend to say, oh, it's just a rustic looking pie, okay? So here's what you're gonna do. Take, by the way, I got these from a potter guy in Park City. Remember when we were
Yep.
there? All right, take your pie pan here. Now wait a second. I'm gonna show you about, I would say 1.5 inches outside of the edge. Just kind of cut it around, okay? It's not gonna look perfect. You wanna do that?
Yeah.
Don't press hard because of the marble.
Okay.
That's just gonna make it now. We're gonna take this off.
Stick it under the rolling pin.
No, watch. You are gonna roll it up like this.
Okay.
And roll it out onto there.
Ah, you're always better.
Okay. Now again, when it's a little cooler than what we just did, because usually we refrigerate it for, 15 minutes or so. Okay, now wait. Ready? I want you to take your finger like this
Oh wow.
and just form those kind of things. Really, it can look like anything, but if you want it, you could make little leaves. No, watch. It's okay. Again, that's why it's rustic. All right, ready? So see, you're sticking your finger, you're lifting, lift the bottom, and push.
It's very rustic pie, Mom.
All right, that's okay. It's first attempt. Okay. Now I have 2 more pie crusts I want you to roll out while I put this in the fridge. This is going to be for the pumpkin pie, but you are going to roll out 2 for my apple pie.
Okay.
Add a little bit more flour onto that. Okay, right now, before I forget, we've preheated both ovens because I don't want to cook them in the same oven because that can absorb too much heat. So in this oven, we'll have the pumpkin pie. You preheat it at 425. 15 minutes after, you reduce it to 350 for another 40 minutes or so. In this oven, same thing, 425 preheating, and after 15 minutes, you reduce the heat to 350. So what we're working on now, I'm telling you, I love this apple pie, and I like apple pie, but this apple pie I love. My cousin Lisa gave me this recipe, and we have never gone back to any other recipe. So there is a sauce that you pour over the apples in the crust. And that's what we're gonna start by doing. We've got 1 stick of butter we're going to melt. To that butter, as it melts, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of flour. I can wait just a second as that melts. So what we are making, it's called a roux. Am I the only one? Maybe I am. But I could eat roux all by itself because it's just butter and flour. So you've got the stick of butter. It's now melted. Take 3 tablespoons of flour and drizzle that in. Stir that. Let me turn this down a little bit. All right, to this, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of water. A 1/2 cup of sugar. And a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And stir this. What I love, oftentimes apple pies, they put in a lot of spice, a lot of cinnamon or nutmeg. And what I love about this recipe is you really just taste the apples. Plus this roux over it, it's so good. All right, so this is all together. Let's go check on Alex and see how she's doing because she's got to do 2 crusts. All right, let me turn that off. How are we doing? That's okay. That's okay. All right.
Here's some extra.
So the great thing about an apple pie is it can look rustic, okay? Go ahead and do that. Don't be afraid, okay? Don't be afraid. And it needs to go over the side because what's going to happen is you're going to put the other one over it and you're going to pinch it.
Oh, that's why I'm making 2?
That's why you're making 2.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, I mean, it's not gorgeous, but it's going to taste amazing. All right, do this one here, and I'm going to put the apples in this, okay?
Okay.
So what we've done is we've taken 8 Granny Smith apples. The reason you use Granny Smith apple as opposed to any other kind, I mean, you might have a kind you love. I love Granny Smith because it's really tart and they're very crisp. So they don't get really mushy and it doesn't get too sweet. So we've taken 8 Granny Smith apples and we have gone ahead and we've peeled them, taken the core out and cut them into about inch and a half little squares. And here we go. It's already done. I'm gonna dump all of this in here. It's gonna seem full, but remember, all of this is going to settle down as it cooks. And that sauce we just had, watch this. We are gonna drizzle this. Oh my gosh, this is so good. All over the apple pie. When we were meeting with the caterer and she said, would you like to use some of your recipes? It was so much fun to call Avery and be like, okay, it's fall. Give me some options. She chose 4. We're doing the apple pie. We're doing the pumpkin pie. I've made the blueberry tart before. She's gonna do the blueberry tart and we're gonna do a chocolate pie. And then we'll have ice cream to top on everything. Okay, this is ready for the top pie crust. I'm just waiting for Alex. I'll take this over here.
This is a good handy trick.
It is. Now roll it out on top. Oh, yes. Now,
Sorry.
it's okay. What you're gonna do is you're gonna literally just pinch it.
No, I'm so bad.
I know
at
you're
pinching.
not. Pinching is, but no. But when you do it, lift it and pinch it. Again, this is just. It looks rustic. It looks like you live on a farm. Don't worry about it.
Looks like I'm learning.
All right, good. And while you do that, I'm going to create the stuff we drizzle on top. When you're making an apple pie, you know when you're in a store and they look glossy and shiny and beautiful? What they've done is they've taken 1 egg white and like a tablespoon of water. Mix it up, okay?
All right.
First of all, don't you love how...
You double-sided tool.
No, it's not a double-sided tool. It's actually, I broke this one and I was like, I can do this.
Oh, perfect.
It's a double-sided tool. We have our own double-sided. Now I want to put you this egg wash all
Okay.
over the top and on the sides. Yep, just keep doing that.
So it's egg whites, not
It's-
egg yolks?
Right, egg white. Yeah, you don't have to use the whole thing.
Oh,
Perfect.
soupy.
All right, it's ready to go in the oven.
Oh.
Okay, you want to open the oven for me?
Yeah.
All right, so what we've done is, as this goes in, Alex, 425 for 15 minutes, and I always put a pan underneath it in case the juices come out, because those will go all over the bottom of your oven, and you don't want that. All right, what time is it, Al? 2:35. Give me
Yep.
15 minutes, and we're gonna do the pumpkin pie. So why we're going into the barn later as we get ready to this. Will you help me clean this up and I'll explain? It's really fun to have a project when you're having a big event. Bob and I are really big on projects, and we were thinking a year ago, what could we do to make things different for this wedding? Kind of an excuse. So we redid the inside of our barn, and it took a lot of thinking. At one point, we thought we'd do a guest room in the bottom of the barn. And then we kind of, over time, it morphed into something very different. And you'll get to see, we added a stone fireplace. We did some fun painting. You're going to see the gentleman. He was on the cover of This Old House. He just does beautiful, it's not your regular painting. And then we built a bar that can go indoors and outside. So you're gonna get to go meet him, as well as Eileen, obviously, who's gonna talk about all the gardens. And then we'll show you all the projects and where they are in their process. But first we're gonna do a pumpkin pie because we have to get this in the oven. Okay, the second pie that we're gonna be having, because it is fall, is pumpkin pie. It's one of my favorites. My mom took probably the most traditional pumpkin pie recipe and kind of made it her own with adding another spice. So I'm gonna have you, here we go.
Let's just say, when this pumpkin pie is made in our house, it ends up in the fridge. So she makes like 2 or 3. It ends up in the fridge. The next day, half of it is gone. No one's touched it. We have one culprit right here.
I could eat an entire pumpkin pie. Truth be told,
It's her little
I
secret.
hide one on the back of the fridge so that nobody. I usually make more than one so that
So she can eat a whole one by herself.
I have eaten a pie. I've eaten a whole pie. Okay, you didn't need to do that. Okay, you start out by taking one 15-ounce can. It can be any kind of pure pumpkin. Not the pumpkin mix, the pure pumpkin. You are a brat. Okay. Did your siblings put you up to saying that?
No.
Okay.
Just so people need to know that it must be that good if you're willing to eat a whole one by
I
yourself.
will say, when I don't eat lunch or dinner that day, everybody knows I've had my own pumpkin pie. Okay, put that in there. Now you're going to take 1 can of evaporated milk. Don't confuse that with, what's that other kind of milk?
Powdered milk.
No, condensed.
Oh.
This is evaporated milk. Pour that in. I'm still laughing. 3/4 cup of sugar. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. All right, now we got a couple eggs.
Okay, I can do it. Or you can.
I can do the
Then I'll
eggs.
mix.
Yeah, start to mix. Okay, 2 eggs. And then here we go. I put a teaspoon of cinnamon in here, a 1/2 teaspoon of ginger, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
You can. I would use the mixer because you don't want any of these not getting mixed up.
Okay.
You know? I will also say there was one Thanksgiving where, okay, ordinarily I will even taste it, but I didn't this one Thanksgiving. And can I tell you, I didn't put sugar in it. So when I went to serve it, it was pumpkin pie with no sugar, and it was horrible. So always make sure you have everything. All right, I'm gonna get the other pie crust. I'm gonna put it in. Aren't you proud of that crust?
Oh, yeah.
It's your first go around. All right. Open the big oven. Again, this was at 425. It'll be done soon. Okay, I'm covering your ears. The secret ingredient to this pie, because it's a normal pie, is 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. Now she can never replicate it. I will always have the best pumpkin pie.
Good thing it'll be on film.
So add 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice to all the other spices. Okay, when I serve apple pie, I always serve vanilla ice cream, but with pumpkin pie, my family prefers, I know you don't like pumpkin pie, but everybody else does. So they prefer like a whipped cream, but I always make that from scratch as well. And so do what you prefer, but serve it with something a little different. And the reason that I'm making all of this right now isn't just because I felt like making it. I have a daughter who's at school in Charlottesville, and she is coming home for the weekend with her new friends in college. She's a freshman, and so they're all getting in tonight. You're picking them up in Baltimore. Is that where you're picking them up? And driving them up. So I'll have a house full of kids, as well as both the Robert, who's been the painting, and Eileen. I want to test it on them as well. So we're going to get the guest room ready, make sure all the beds are ready for the kids to come, and I want to show you one of our guest rooms. Going up to the guest room, but you're leaving, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay, it's her anniversary, and we had her wedding here 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
So thank you for joining me.
Of course.
I love you. I love you. I love you.
I love
All
you.
right,
Thanks for
drive
teaching me.
safely.
I
You're
will.
welcome.
And I'll get Audrey safely
don't
too.
forget you're wearing that.
Yes.
All right, sweetheart. See you soon. Whenever I do a guest room, I make sure there are certain things in there. Today I went down to my garden and I cut some great flowers, so I always have fresh flowers. And then I've got a cold water there, as well as different shampoos, anything somebody would need coming into my house. And then I always put some cookies. So here's to heading to our guest room. The fun thing about our guest room is it's separate from everybody else in the house. It's over the laundry room, which is next to the kitchen, and it has its own private staircase and bathroom. So it's kind of fun that whoever stays here can escape. They're not in a room next to everybody else. So here we go. Another thing I love about this, first of all, it's just the colors are soothing to me. But take, for instance, this picture at a family reunion. One of my cousins painted the tree and had everyone do their thumbprint and sign it. So, and as you came up the stairs, one of my cousins for her school project did our house. So she painted the house. And over, right here over the bed at another family reunion, one of the young kids, I think they were in elementary school, painted it and had people sign their names. So here we go. I always put a tray. Here's the basket or the bag with all the little goodies and cookies. So I always have fun doing a guest room, I think, because I really think long and hard about how a guest will feel comfortable in your house. I think linens are probably the most important thing, and I love white linens for a guest bed. So crisp white linens, layering textures, that's what I love. And here, obviously, what we've done is we have all the walls are painted white, and I did the trim, kind of like the bedroom where we sleep. We did the trim, the opposite color. So it's restful. You can come up here and be separate from everybody or go right downstairs and join. But it's so fun. Architecturally, it's just a really fun room.
Hey, Ruth.
How are you?
Good to see you
Oh,
again.
it's good to see you.
Yes.
It's so fun to see everything as it starts to get done.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
It looks awesome,
It really
doesn't
is
it?
awesome.
Oh my gosh, come on in. I can't wait to show everybody. Okay, welcome to the barn. This project was a huge project because it came from literally, I mean, it had the long table, but it didn't feel warm. And I think when we were trying to think about how to envision doing it, I really didn't know where to start. And I called my friend Barb Gazelle with Barb Gazelle Designs.
That's right.
And she's in Haverford or Ardmore area of the main line. She has done a number of things like this, and I knew her style was impeccable. And there's a certain thing I know that I'm not good at. And I've learned when you're not good at something, pull somebody else in, and that's choosing color. And I think particularly with staining, because I had no idea what we were doing. So she came out with Robert Dion, and he has an amazing, he's just one of the most talented. Actually, you were on the cover of This Old House, I think, right?
Yep.
A couple of different
Old House
ones.
Journal, and then also County Line. Yeah, so I've done put in a few
You've done
magazines.
a few different magazines.
Yep.
So you just have a way of making things appear to be old that aren't necessarily old and yet new. So when we first looked at this, okay, it was just pine, both this as well as this hutch. How did you envision what you did?
Well, it was to break up all that wood tone.
Okay, because everything was this color.
That's right. Everything was
Okay.
all the wood tone, and Barbara chose this color, which was, the perfect color for it. But we still wanted to allow some of that wood tone to come through, and that's where that aging effect, where I sanded through some of the edges, kind of worn out some of those areas, just to give it more of a nostalgic.
Well, it's all here. So had I come in here and done this, because ordinarily I'm the one that does all of our painting, I would have just slapped paint on here, and that is not what you did. In fact, I think you even used some waxing, right?
I did some waxing too, and that's what's giving it that depth. That's what's giving it that little shadowy effect. And I mean, I love history. I love the way things patina. I love the weathering effects of old antique furniture. And that's kind of what my approach was, to make it look like it's been here. It's been here for a long period of time. It's had some different wearing. It's a little bit fancy brushwork that went on, also a little bit of sanding, but it was just, it's that final waxing. It's that giving it that little shadow effect.
Well, because you spent a few different days. I mean, it wasn't like one and done. You had to layer it.
No, it's a process, right?
Okay.
It's a process where you have to, and in some cases you have to step back and say, there's too much done here. I got to put some more back on here.
Okay.
Or there's not enough here. Like, for example, if you look down here, and you also have to choose areas that you're going to have natural wear.
Oh, because somebody's going to use the handle, so it's going to be more worn around the handle.
And if you go to a museum or looking at an old, beautifully painted antique, that's where you're going to see those wear out areas.
I got ya. Well, we also had, so you also did the island. And what I actually appreciated, you didn't do the same color.
No, but it's very relatable.
It's very relatable. And so, was this all just a stain, or was it a stain as well as a wax?
This is more of a stain. It's a glaze that had a little bit of that paint into it. This is more, to me, more contemporary. Has a more contemporary feel to it, which I love.
The juxtaposition.
Yeah, I love it
of
too.
the old and the new.
I love that contrast. So this really worked out well with this piece.
Okay, well, while we're here in this area, I want to talk about one of my favorite things, because we didn't have a trash can in the entire barn. We used those big metal trash cans, right? So we spent some time figuring out, building a trash can. So Bob built a trash can. He actually talked to Barb about it, but what he did was he built it, the trash can goes in, but we wanted to do something fun. And so many people have commented on my ring in the past. So my great-grandfather made these plaques. You can see them all over our property. There's a Together one over there, there's Bless, there's a number of them, but one of my favorites is the one that says Others. And I had a ring made for each one of my kids for Christmas one year, because there was a plaque. It's a big circle. The outer side was the O, the cross in the middle was the T, HERS was in the 4 quadrants. So others, and because we place such an important emphasis on other people in our family, I thought it would be really cool if you did this. So you paint, how did you do that? Because it almost looks 3D.
It's a little trompe l'oeil. It's to fool the eye. But yeah, I wanted to create it to make it look like it was actually carved in. It felt it was like somebody carved it in the woods. I kept the wood, again, keeping the wood tones for the backdrop, but I just like the angles, the different highlights on the piece.
Plus you dressed up a trash can. So I will say, my dad came in, he hadn't seen it, he's not been here recently, and he came in, he's like, it looks a little Tolkien-ish, Lord of the Rings, which we all love, so I loved it.
Oh, good.
So Barb had this idea really to give depth, color. She wanted Bob, my husband, to build this bookcase pretty much floor to ceiling, and to have a ladder that could move across. So you painted this next.
We did, that's right.
So tell us how you chose, because it's not as weathered as that side of the room.
And that was, we wanted to go with not as heavily, what I call distressed, less of the wood coming through. The same approach, actually this is a different color too. It's a slightly different age color, which again, Barbara chose this color. And it's just so relatable, so well with that other piece. But yeah, it's almost the same thing. But this, again, was stepping back, making sure I didn't overkill it, didn't overdo it with too much of the wood tones coming through. And again, I approached it with the light wax, almost wax on, wax off type
off, yeah,
approach, and then just the soft brushing. Now, the neat thing about, I think, this piece was the raw wood, and I love the texture that we received.
So my husband, Bob, as you know, he came in and he built this and then attached this, but he
This is
used
great,
just the
yeah.
plywood, and then you painted it right on top
Yep,
of
I
it.
didn't, no sanding whatsoever.
No.
I love
The rough
the
look.
graining, the rough texture of it, and
Yeah.
again, it fulfills, it's the same thing
Yeah.
with this beautiful barn.
Well, it's so funny because I can usually visualize when somebody's kind of thinking through decorating with me. This I didn't, because I thought, well, it's not even on both sides, right? You have bookshelves, floor to ceiling on this.
Yes.
But what do you have on that side? Which was fun because over time, since we bought this place, we have found and collected all of the old iron stuff that was literally, when we were digging, we would find things, and we ended up having a wall where we hung it all up. So all of this, from pitchforks to all of the metal things,
Look at the
you've
saw
seen,
blade
the
is-
saw
yeah.
blade, which is broken, we went ahead and hung all of that up there, and it kind of is a really wonderful balance.
It really is. It's part of the history.
Part of the history of
barn.
the property.
Exactly.
Yeah, which I love. Now we're gonna go to my favorite addition, and then we'll get to the last thing you painted. But my favorite addition is the fireplace. I did not think we could do a fireplace in the barn, probably because of code and everything else. But what we did is we had a friend who did stonework, and he came in and he built fireplace for us. So it'll be gas. We can have it on any time, but I love that it's a big statement piece. The other thing that we did, I've talked about this before, we never had a guest book in our house. What we did was Bob had knocked a tree down, I don't know, when we first bought the house. And rather than a guest book, we had people carve their names or initials, and then when that got a little dangerous because of the young kids, we had this burning tool, and people would put their information on the log. So it's again, it goes to who's been in our home and who we've had the privilege and honor of seeing. So obviously, a lot of this was important for the wedding to make people feel cozy. What we might end up doing for the wedding is pushing the couches out. We'll have the fireplace going. Obviously, it'll be October. We'll have blankets sitting everywhere for people because out on the property, we are going to have fire pits, but it'll just give one more seating area. And what's fun is I have a daughter, if you notice these long boards, I have a daughter who over time has calligraphied different events that we've done. So we will be adding this wedding to it in just 3 weeks. Okay, when we were trying to decide what else needed to be done in the barn, we were thinking about the first wedding we did with my daughter Alex. And the problem with that was we had one area for drinks, one bar, and for 250 people, that did not work. So when we had Barb here and we were talking through what were the things that my husband could build, she said, what about a bar that could be used inside as well as outside? So here was her idea. She said, told my husband, go find old scaffolding, the scaffolding that you can climb up on the side of buildings and do all your work.
With the caster wheels.
The caster wheels and everything?
Yes.
So he found this. It was tall. He cut it down. See the old wheels right here, which you can lock. So it moves. It can be moved outside or stay here.
Right.
We then actually my husband got all these fronts of wine boxes. And they weren't aged or patinaed already. So my husband went ahead, put them on here, and you came and stained these so that they would look old.
We wanted that look as if they were, again, the old shadowing, aging effect around the boxes. And so it was kind of again, multi-steps of adding color, spritzing color on there, but just giving it that sense of volume.
And then what we did, we went back and forth. Do we put a wood top on it or a soapstone? And we went with soapstone.
I love the choice.
Only because, I don't know, the black, it just adds a different thing. We have a lot of wood going on in this place. So we did soapstone. And these were a bright yellow.
That school bus yellow.
School
They
bus
were
yellow,
so
like
bright
yellow.
And this was probably the most challenging of all the projects here, because I really wanted to work with that yellow. And I was, adding glazes and adding different layers of paint, and it just was not working. It just wasn't coming out right. And I think it was actually Barbara who said, why don't you try a little red? So I came up with this cadmium red, this deep hue cadmium red. And as soon as I put it on there, I said, that's it. That's it. But the thing what I like about it is that you can see some of the yellow coming
is
through.
still through.
And you can see where the yellow is popping and making the red more brilliant in some areas and then duller in other areas.
Yeah.
So it really has a beautiful patina, but it looks just that red and those box faces just go together so well.
Well, and what I think is fun is we haven't gotten them yet. We're doing bar stools all the way around here so that if it's in here, it can be used. And my husband built this seat. I mean, obviously, if you lift this, you can still see the plywood.
Right.
But I went to IKEA. I got some furs. And you painted HF for Hillside Farm, or stained it.
Yes.
Onto all these random places on the back of this.
Right, to give it sort of an old, like a, what do they call them?
The branding.
Branding feel to it, exactly, right. And, so there was some of it I had to sand through, but we made it, irregular. But I love the refurbished material that he used. And just, again, it just added another detail, another feature to it. Yeah.
Well, you have been unbelievable. I actually have a potting shed that I think I'm going to get him to paint the floor into diamonds,
That's
but
gonna
we
be a good
haven't
spot.
gotten there yet.
Yeah.
But if people want to reach you, how can they reach you?
rdhomecollection.com.
Okay. And you are, how far do you go? New York, New Jersey,
I go
Pennsylvania?
all over the country, pretty
Okay.
much, yeah. So
Okay.
I'm pretty much available all
All over
throughout the country.
Well,
yes.
he's amazing. And I know you've seen his work, so hopefully it's going to be an amazing addition for this wedding. So thank you. And I
Thank you.
actually see my friend Eileen pulling up. So hang on, please, though, because I've made apple pie, and I want to give you some apple pie before
Excellent.
you leave. So come on. Just relax. I'm going to take care of Eileen, and we will have apple pie and ice cream.
Hello.
It's wedding time.
Yes, it is.
Well, this is not your first rodeo.
No, not
So-
yours. But I'm very
So-
pleased to be back doing wedding stuff. It makes me happy.
Well, your work makes me happy. I've never known anyone as talented as you.
Well,
so,
I appreciate that.
yeah.
That's a huge thing to say.
no, I've never seen, honestly.
Thank you.
So here's what you might not know. So we're standing in front of the bar. I'm just trying to think, guests are walking up here. On either door of the barn, we are going to have in moss an A and a Z for
Lovely.
Avery and Zach. It's just going to be a big letter. I thought, and you correct me if I'm wrong, so Zach's last name is Orange. Years ago, when you and I decorated for fall, we did a giant pile of pumpkins.
Yes, they were all in orange.
All in orange.
Yep.
And so I was thinking that might be a fun thing to have in the front.
I think it's a lovely idea because
Okay.
it brings your eye away. Immediately when you walk up the grass, you will see the big pile, and then you look up onto the doors.
Okay.
So it's a lovely entrance, and it's a lovely first room to come into.
And
Yes.
it is a room.
It is a room.
It's
I
a
mean,
room.
look, and I
Because-
think it's fabulous.
Because that down there will be all the chairs for the wedding.
Exactly, and a lot of
Behind
white.
there will be the big tent.
Yep.
So this is where all the cocktails and the appetizers
Yes.
will be. But to have just a giant pile
Yes.
of pumpkins.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we
And
need to plan
probably
for.
all the same size. I love that medium size. It looks fabulous. It's
Okay.
easy to stack, and if you get different sizes, it looks a little
Messy.
higgledy-pickledy.
Okay, hickledy-pickledy?
Higgledy-pickledy.
Is that what you said,
Yeah.
higgledy-pickledy?
So we can do it just like we did it before. I have photographs of it.
Okay,
So I
so
can
that's
show
what we'll
you.
do, and we'll put it right on
Yep.
the stone.
Yep.
I love that.
I love that idea.
Okay, let's look at the window boxes
Yes,
of the
take
barn.
a look. Yep.
Here, do you remember at the beginning of the season we did these window boxes?
Yes.
And I will say it has been the hottest summer
Yeah, horrible.
I can almost ever remember having. And even though it's filled out, it's starting to see the end of its days. But it has been stunning.
I'm very pleased with these. Remember how small they were when we did them?
Well, I
And
just know that you have to keep them soaked.
it is up to you and the client
Right.
to keep these things wet unless you have a system that has the you
I
you
don't
can
have
plug
a system.
them in.
The system is me and the hose.
That's right,
So
and you
I-
have done
yeah.
a fantastic
Thank
job.
you.
We're just losing the begonias now
Yeah.
because it's that time of year, but actually the colours here are gorgeous. The
What
purple.
do you want to do differently? So Avery's colors for her wedding are greens and creams.
Yes.
So I don't know how we're gonna. What you think?
I'll take out these because they're a little tired, I don't know yet. But I think what I'm going to do is I'll take out the back here, and what I'd like to do is bring in some whites, maybe euphorbia if I can still get it, that will hang down,
Okay.
and then some really cool greens that are cream and green. It's actually one of the easiest colours to do.
You could actually throw in white pumpkins.
That's another thing I'd like to
Okay,
do. So we've
so-
got pumpkins other places. It's not right like we're introducing new things
Right.
that look.
Well, no, it is harvest
Tacky.
time, right? No, so
Exactly.
just little white pumpkins
Yep.
might even be.
And these are beautiful and they're silvery, and I'd actually like to take them out because I want to see these. These are perennials. These are Hakura.
So we can plant those somewhere else.
We can plant these somewhere else. They are annual
Oh,
though. They will.
no, but these can be planted.
We'll take them out before it gets
Yeah,
frosty
okay.
because these are fabulous silver leaves.
Perfect.
So,
Awesome.
And let's see how these look. It might be nice to drape them for a wedding. I don't
Yeah.
know, but there's so much that can be done and easily done.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it at all, Ruth.
Okay. Well, we will fix that and
Yeah.
make it very weddingy.
Yeah.
And I want to take you right outside of my house. We just did a project with Eileen and Tyler. It took her how many years to convince us to do it?
Few.
But here's the thing.
But it's
We're
okay.
thrilled that we did it. We had an event that it really required an event
Yeah.
to force us to do it.
Yes, and it's not finished. It's very difficult because we've put privet in, which we love, and we know how fabulous it will look. but
Well,
it'll be
let's show them the
3
privet
years.
because people might not know what privet is. So come on up to the house and I'll show you it. So several years ago, Eileen, you had a pet peeve on this property. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to have a pet peeve on this property because it's so beautiful. But I think what you had a hard time with was our driveway, when we put the driveway in, literally came all the way up to right here in front of the gardens. And you thought, gosh, Ruth, I'd like it to back off 10 feet and give it more privacy because we don't use our front door. This is our side door, it goes right into our laundry room. And she wanted to have a little bit more of a punch like the front door would. Yep.
Yes.
So what did you recommend? Like, what did we do?
Well, we came up with 10 feet very cleverly because we have an electric car here and we needed enough space for the cable to go. And I wanted to have people go much further away from these windows because I felt like you just come straight up here and it's right on you, and there was no real elegance coming here. So the idea and what we did was we made this area and we just put gravel down because I love that. It's very different and we don't have it anywhere on the property. And so now we have a much nicer entrance that it's on its way to being how it should be, but it will take a couple of years for the privet to grow in.
So let's say privet. So what you did is you put these tall, what are these called
These
again?
are columnal boxwoods.
These
They're
are
just how
tall
they're
boxwoods.
grown. Yes.
But you put them on the corners of all the lines and you filled them with
privet.
privet. Now, in a few years, you've shown me pictures.
Yep.
The entire length of this is going to be a solid bush.
A bush.
And you're going to cut it flat. It'll be high, flat. And
Yes.
you're going to put a window in it.
I'm going to put 2 windows in, which is quite easy to do once it's grown taller. And this will be a wonderful, I
Entrance.
call it a natural fence.
Oh, I love that.
And eventually we can play with this, but it does take patience. I do realize that. We used to be able to buy privet much bigger, but we can't anymore.
And then
So
we put over here a rosemary tree,
Yep.
a fig tree.
that will provide fig next year. It's just the first year.
I love figs.
I know I do too. And we might be able to keep this. We might cover this in burlap.
And maybe it'll make it through the winter.
Exactly.
I got succulents. We
Yeah,
put so
we're doing more and more of these. This is still
Filling it
a
in with
work in
succulents.
progress. Yes.
And then of course, okay, my Japanese anemone. You know,
Oh,
those are like my favorite. One
they're
of my favorite flowers.
Unbelievable.
And they come out this time of year. But Japanese anemones, I just think are so.
Yep.
The first time I ever saw them, we were on vacation in Switzerland.
Yeah,
and
they're gorgeous.
I think I came back and took a picture, and I
Yep.
asked you, what are these?
And they come in white as well, just so you know.
They're beautiful.
And then we put boxwoods in because I want it clean this side. This has a tree. And I didn't want to put, these are sun-loving plants over here, the fig tree and the rosemary. These are new, so we haven't trimmed them yet, but we will trim these for the wedding and make them round and lovely and pretty much leave this area as it is and develop it as they would like to develop it. They may put a planter in here.
Well, I thank you because you've given us vision for things that I couldn't have. I mean, I could look in a book and see it, but you've given us vision and showed us how to care for it.
Yeah, and
so.
it loves it here.
Thank you, my
Why
friend.
wouldn't it?
Thank you. Okay, meet me in the barn because I have an apple pie and ice cream for you.
Oh,
So
you do?
If you guys go into the barn.
Do you want me to help you?
No, I'm going to bring it on down. So
Okay.
tell Robert I'll be right there and I'll bring
sounds
ice
divine.
cream.
I
and-
won't mention my diet, but that's okay.
No, not for today.
Bye.
Okay, I'll see you in a minute. All right.
Hi.
Wow. Look
Oh.
at this. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
All
you
right.
wonderful.
And you might have to use a spoon. So
Oh, it looks remarkable. Look at this.
Look at this. Wow.
Where's yours?
right here.
Oh, good. I thought you were going to.
So I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for having vision beyond what we were able to do and your willingness to implement it and to love us all in the process.
Well,
Thank you.
it's an honor working here. I've loved it from the beginning, as you know. So,
Love it.
Thank you for including us.
Absolutely. All right.
bon appetit.
Eat your apple pie.
Wow.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.